Blessings again. Alright, so greetings to everybody who's tuning. All who tune in from international, because I know irits have followers all over. So international, local. It's a blessing to be here, to be in this space. It's a space that I really value. I usually come here on an annual to get a relaxed peace of mind, and it's a temple, right? So within all temples, you usually have teachings and reasonings and to improve knowledge so we can learn better and share amongst each other. So greetings to everyone out there. I must say it would be a much bigger gathering, but due to the COVID and everything, we have to have a limited gathering, and so live streaming is what we work with today. So let me just, as courtesy, sorry, my name is Jason Bowen. By profession, I'm a medical doctor at Corner Regional, but as first one call me Jason, so I prefer that name in the village. I don't want Jason or so Jason, or, that would have been better for I. Yeah. All right. So, what we'll touch upon today? Today we'll talk about a topic, know thyself. Kind of right. Sometimes I write bad at work, so it project back into this. But know thyself, right? Where did this concept come from, and why I decided to talk about it, right? So the concept, from every plane, right? Whether it be in the street, a man will tell you, yo man, you need to know yourself, right? If it's in the village, an elder will come to you and say, say a man needs to understand himself journey. And so at every level, people always been mentioning that thing. Also in readings, you'll find in ancient time, there's a man they call Socrates. One know about Socrates. There's a temple back in ancient time, they call it Temple of Delphi, where they have inscribed on it. Would that be a place like irits in them time? They inscribe on it one of the maxims. So maxims is like one of them fundamental principles them. So they say, man, know thyself is one of the main one. The other two they have is nothing in excess, and then the next thing is surety brings ruin. So, and another point now where I come by this topic, surety bring ruin, yeah. And another point that I come by to get this topic in mind is another principle from a hermetic principle they call it, as above so below. You ever hear that? So the voice is good? Oh, yeah man, so it's as above so below. So it's saying that for the macrocosm, it's the same thing for the microcosm. So when you think about it, if you say, man, know thyself, sometimes we're thinking, so we have to study outside ourselves, we have to look on the stars and things. But when you say cells now, when you hear cells, you think about the man, but you think about within the man, right? So directly you get to look in now. You understand? So when you say, man, know thyself, separate from self, when you say self, you probably start to think about you have to go read book and go up, not space and things. But when you say cells, you kind of go within now and try to understand the cells. So that is the root of how the name would have come about, right? That is it. Everybody understand that so far? Alright. The purpose of it though, but the big purpose of it is to provide like a wonderful platform where science and spirituality can have a common ground based on logic and reasoning, right? So the essential mission then is for like two of them shake on. To say peace, right? So science and spirituality. So let me just put a look at thing here. Try to put thing in a middle. So over here, so that'll be science. Jaja. That's the right thing. Yes, so there you go. So that's spirituality, right? So science and spirituality. Alright. So it live. Alright. So as I said, the main aim is to make both of them combine. So today now is a series would I like for, because it's a process. So we would have start off with original things, right? And the original thing is creation. Right? So first thing we would have really try to get a common ground upon is creation, right? So go see how creation you can find a common ground for creation both in spirituality and in science, right? So we're going to start from the microcosm first. So we say, well, to understand the big thing, we have to understand the small thing, right? So we'll start from the microcosm, right? So right here would that be micro, macro. Spirituality would that be the macro. So later that now we go, so creation, they say how humanity came into being, right? So over here, so we'll put humanity. And over here, so we'll put human, right? To show the commonality, because humanity, the suffix ity, ity, it means state of being. So it's state of being human, right? So that's the whole creation, state of being human. So now we are going to human for understand humanity. Alright, so creation. So we start from human now. How a human come about? It's the first thing we have to think about. How a human come about? Yeah, so a human come about through the process of sex, right? A male sperm fused with a female egg, right? At that point of fusion, we have a thing then called a zygote, right? Zygote, so that is an important part I want to touch upon. See, that's a blue, right? That thing called right here, so zygote. So this basically is the start of us, the zygote. So when the male sperm and the female egg fuse, we get a zygote. What they call a zygote? They call zygote a totipotent cell. This is the name them give to it. Totipotent. Janu. Sorry for them penmanship. Alright. Zygote, totipotent, right? Alright, so what totipotent mean? Right? Totipotent cell, basically it come from Latin. Latin meaning totipotentia, meaning ability for do all things, right? So it's a cell. So basically in medicine they will say zygote have totipotency, meaning it have the ability to divide, differentiate into all cells in the organism, right? So that is the first cell, totipotent, have the ability to divide and become all cells within the organism, right? From there, you have cell division. Basic, so we're going to go basic science. We're not going to, because simpler it is, the better it is. So no complication. So from a zygote, you have cell division, go down the line, and then you have a cell called a blastocyst. Right. Have a cell they call a blastocyst. Blastocyst, they say, like how this is pluripotent, the blastocyst they call it. No, this is totipotent, the blastocyst is pluripotent. Yeah, so this can do all things, but the blastocyst now, it is pluripotent. It can do many differentiation, it can differentiate into other cells, but it just cannot form a thing they call the placenta. Right? You ever hear about the placenta before? Yeah, so that is the only thing the blastocyst can't yeah man, it can form every other microcells and microorganisms, but one thing it cannot do is form the placenta, right? So from zygote you get the blastocyst. From here, this now, so I put beside it pluripotent. From here, the blastocyst divides into 3 germ layers. So this is how we are developed now, from the zygote. So become a zygote after the fertilization. Then after the fertilization, you have division, right? That they call it mitosis, right? Self-division of cells. So the cells start to replicate. So
are you male or female yet?
At this point, no. Not decided as yet.
So
yeah.
The sperms don't activate, but you are
not
male
or female yet. So at this point, it's still just you have no differentiation as yet. No differentiation. So it's undifferentiated, but has the potency, the potential to become any cells. You understand? Yeah. So after this now, we have 3 germ layers that are formed. Right? So a germ layer, so basically it's just a covering, right? So it's a layer, and the germ, I guess it stands from germination. I guess it stems from that, but it's a generation of layers, right? So basically what we have in the germ layer, we have 3 layers. We have an endoderm, you have a mesoderm, and an exoderm. Those are the 3 layers that come forward in the division. So endoderm, meso, that is it, and ecto, or exo, sorry. Yeah. So them 3 layers, right? These 3 layers, this is pluripotent. This layer they call it multipotent. So at each time it go down, you realize the potency, the power of it kind of reduce. So you have totipotent, all can do all things, right? Then you have the pluripotency cell. Then you have the multipotent cell. The multipotent cell are cells that can divide, but along, for instance, you have a condition we call leukemia, as a cancer of the blood cell, right? They can do a thing they call bone marrow transplant with stem cells, right? So a stem cell is a stem cell can be anyone. Stem cell is a cell that can differentiate into any cell, right? So a stem cell can be any one of the lines from totipotent, which is all dividing, pluripotent, and multipotent. So when you're doing a bone marrow transplant, they take out some of the marrow from you call it a family member, or somebody who they think would have a similar blood as you, and try to get a match. What happens with the stem cell is that when you get the stem cell in that state, it can repair. So if you have a damaged cell, because it has the ability to differentiate further, so they use it as a repair mechanism. So like if an organ is damaged, so most time now what they're doing, they're researching now to see if they can use stem cell for like organ repair and all those stuff. But in current time, what they use it for is like a transplant of the bone marrow when a person have like leukemia and thing they call multiple myeloma, cancer of the bone. They use that, first they use chemotherapy, right? And wipe out it, and then they give the pluripotential stem cell, and that now generate the normal cells.
That science is here in Jamaica now?
No, you know, we don't do it in Jamaica because it have some ethical thing to it. I think they only do it in, I think even some parts in the States, the stem cell transplant still banned, but they have some ethical thing because of the zygote. You have to get it from the zygote, from the state when it's not differentiated, and some persons have it to say that it's still a organisms and you tamper with a life.
And stem cells is the same thing as after birth, right?
After birth. No, let me get that fullness.
Is stem cells the same thing as after birth, what they call after birth?
Oh,
Placenta?
oh no, it not essentially. A stem cell is any one of these cell lines that have the potential to differentiate into other cells.
No, the reason why I ask is because that particular statement floats around.
Oh, so the stem cell is
Stem cells, placenta.
what?
After birth is the same thing as stem cells.
Oh no, that wouldn't be a correct statement. What they probably would have said is that you have 2 types of stem cell. You have an embryonic stem cell and you have a thing they call somatic stem cell. So the embryonic ones are the ones that exist before. I think they call there's a thing covering these. They call it blastocyst, right? So I don't want to get too complicated. I want to get simple, right? So yeah. So what we want to get to is after you get these 3 layers, the endoderm, the mesoderm, and the exoderm. That now, as we say, endo is a prefix. I mean inner, right? Meso, middle, and ecto, outer, right? So the outer. So these now differentiate now into unipotent cells. This is a specialized cells now. So unipotent cells would be like, so the endoderm, right? This one, exoderm, becomes the neurons, right? The neurons that carry signal. Yeah. Mesoderm becomes like blood cells, red blood cells, right? And bone. And the endoderm becomes the organs, right? So like liver, pancreas, gut line, the endocrine system. Well, the endocrine system would have come under like the thyroid gland and stuff like the glands them would have come on the endoderm. So these are what we call unipotent cells. So these have they can only form one type of cell. So they have a purpose already. They know that this neuron is to carry neuronal signal, the blood cell is to deliver blood. You understand? They are differentiated. Up here, these are undifferentiated. They don't have no purpose. But they have the potential to be any one of these. So coming down, the potency decrease, but the specialization advance, right? So, creation. So this from this now, when you have these unipotent cells, is basically the man now. You understand? So we have liver, both.
Man or woman.
Man or woman. So we use man is
human.
Yeah, human. Sorry for the general, but human.
No, just why important for me, you know, I mean, know if everybody knows that they never necessarily born man or woman.
Yeah.
But that this how long this happen, this time process?
Well, alright, so the whole process of the differentiation, I know from here to here is 3 days, right?
3 days.
Yeah, I'm sure about that day. The other process, I'm not want to quote it right now because embryology and long time I don't really go into it. But remember, this process is 3 days, but the overall, overall development is probably I think in my mind it come like 28 something, but I can't.
Days.
Yeah, I can't pinpoint it right now. So 3 days is the from zygote to blastocyst, and then the others have a process. So at this point is where you know that we say human, right? So now, as we said, the basis of this is to find a platform now. To see if both of them can shake on, right? If both of them can agree, if you disagree. So science and spirituality. So spirituality, we can go in a different creation story now. So I guess we can start off with the common one that we know, which is common to Jews, Muslim, and who else use this one now? Christians, right? Which is Genesis, right? So in the beginning they say the earth was without form or void, right? Right? Yeah, man. Yeah, so they say in the beginning the earth was without form or void, and the spirit of the water came upon the face of the deep, right? So basically, would that be a similar pattern with the womb, right? The water and the spirit, the sperm, right? Boom, right? And there, from there, them say a creation start there, so right? Boom. So that a source, whatever we want to call it, I mean, God is the origin, right? This now, the source, God and everything, it have the potential to be anything right now, because it gonna be it is the one that gonna be, right? So from there, it's a let there be light, right? That is the next thing you do. So is light come forward, the next, right? So light would that be equivalent to the pluripotency, right? Because it can't go back, but it can bring forth all other things, right? So from there now you have light. Then now we're going to use it in a differentiation now. So it constantly, creation story, this form on this day, this form on this day. But then we realize a breakdown, same way. We have just as we call, just as we talk about germ layers, we have basically 3 germ layers in humanity, right? The 3 germ layers them form from the 3 essential race, right? So you would have endo, meso, exo, right? You follow so far? Yeah. Alright. So endoderm, we're going to attribute different race to different layers, right? Follow? So endoderm, we'll attribute that to, we'll say Caucasian, right? It's white race, right?
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Alright, we're gonna. Why would I get that? Alright, so how basically we're gonna use which way you want, melanated black, right? For be the blood center, the middle, right? Neurons, we use, people always say Asian brain, right? So in a natural sense, it correlate with Asians, right? Follow? How that sound? It sound reasonable?
That's a stereotype, yeah. Is this
If I guess, but they say, so we just use it in terms of the division to come down. So they say Asians, they are the brains, right? So, and them stuff. So that's why we got neurons. So there, so that be Asians, right? So them Caucasians mostly physical and like material things and stuff. So that's how we go. Mechanical. So that's why we go the body structures that we them have. And then blood now, them usually say we response for the culture, the flow of earth. You understand? So that's why I would have said we are the middle. Yeah. So there's a would have fall African now, would that be? So Asian. So these are the 3 germ layers that would have come down, right? So then now we realize that within each So endoderm, right? Within endoderm you have liver, bone, you have the gut line and everything. So within each germ layer now, each person will be specialized again, have a special function. So that is the reason that touch upon that now. That is one of the reasons why where when you try to go outside of your mission, because if a neuron cell try to be a cardiac cell, like a neuron cell in the brain start to do the function of a cardiac cell, it becomes a cancer cell, right? Because it's doing the wrong function, so it's a mutated cell. You understand? So it's the same principle with humans. So if we go outside of what is a natural purpose that we're supposed to do, then we become a mutation. You understand? Yes, to society. So if you see, yes, yeah man. So that's why now if you have Caucasians, them do more technological stuff or development. That is the line I think where them supposed to deal with. We are deal with culture and stuff like that. It's along the lines of what we fair deal with. Them man deal with the analytical part of stuff, see me? Is the line. You understand? However now, within a man himself now, he have 3 layers, see me, right? So that's why even now we can show you a different micro division with this, because within each person you have, there's the Trinity, body, mind and soul, right? So it's the same way with attribute right here. So what I say the middle part is the soul, right? What I say the mind is the Asian part, right? And then the Caucasian part would be the body, right? Right? So within this now you realize within the individual himself, he have all these 3 elements to develop, same way. So he have the mind for develop, he have the soul for develop, and he have the body for develop. So that breakdown, is the same principle coming down. 3 layers, and then now the specialized thing now, as we say now, is like, for instance, King, you would naturally have a you'd say inclination for sing, right? And because I see you as a tip man, I say you go lift weights, right? If you go lift weights and you're going against the grain of your purpose, then you become a mutation. You're not flowing along the lines of the stuff. So that is where purpose would come in, right? So if you realize in the body you have the lungs, right? You have the heart, you have the kidney, you have the liver. All of them is in one human being. If the brain stop work, the whole body affected, right? Right? If the heart stop work, the whole body affected, right? If the lungs stop work, the whole body affected. So that's the essential mission where you realize there is no one have a greater purpose than the next man, but them just have a purpose to make sure the whole body work. Yeah. So that is the essential thing when we really want to get across. One is for see where the commonality is between, because countless of times you hear people say them for instance, even settings like this or even conventional settings, them wouldn't use some herbs or them wouldn't use conventional medicine, right? Because them say that don't good for you or herbs don't good for you. So both of them is like a battle. So a man in the conventional world would say, no man, don't drink no thing and that and don't take that, right?
No Pepto-Bismol.
No, yeah. And then them not say that a person who more in tune with spirituality, them would say, nah, I'm going to take that and I'm not going to hospital. You understand? But you have to find a balance between both of them, because both of them is basically the same thing. You get what I say? Both of them is basically the same thing in moderation, because if you check it, I'm going to say, them check this, right? And when they take this, them check it and find coenzyme B in it, right? So them process it, and when they process it now, them realize them can get 20 grams out of it, and then put it in a tablet form and give you, right? It's a micro from the macro. And you take it and it works. You see people come and it work, right? So it work, and it's not a fairy tale, say it no work, you know. It's just a balance we need to understand now, say. It's not a thing to bash on, and it's to find the balance between the two of them, and when we